Welcome back to Pensioners Corner. Today's video is about something every driver in the UK needs to pay attention to. Starting in September 2025, several new driving laws will come into effect. These rules cover different areas of motoring, the type of fuel available at petrol stations, how fines are applied, technology being built into new cars, the way toll roads will operate, and the expansion of clean air zones. Now, I want to be very clear. This video is not here to scare anyone or to give false promises. It's simply a breakdown of the information that has been officially discussed or announced so far, so that drivers can understand what's changing and think ahead about how it might affect them. Driving is something millions of us do daily, and even small changes can have a big impact. By staying informed, you'll be better prepared for the road ahead. Let's start with the change that will affect almost every driver: fuel. From September 2025, standard unleaded petrol in the UK is moving from the E10 blend, which is what most people currently use, to E15. That means the ethanol content will rise from 10% to 15%. For most modern vehicles, this switch won't be a major problem. You might notice a very small dip in fuel efficiency, but it's not expected to cause big mechanical issues in cars built in the last decade or so. However, owners of older cars or classic vehicles will need to pay close attention. Ethanol can be harsh on certain fuel systems. Rubber seals, carburetors, and older style fuel lines are more likely to be damaged over time by the higher ethanol content. For these cars, the safer option will be super unleaded petrol, which has a lower ethanol percentage. The challenge, of course, is that super unleaded is more expensive, sometimes around 15 to 20 pence more per litre. Over time, especially for drivers who cover a lot of miles or who own fuel-hungry engines, that cost adds up quickly. It's important for anyone with an older vehicle to check their car's compatibility with E15 fuel. Manufacturers often provide guidance on which models can safely use it. Ignoring compatibility could lead to costly repairs, as ethanol-related wear can cause unexpected breakdowns. For many enthusiasts and collectors, this feels like another hurdle to keeping classic cars on the road. While the intention behind the policy is linked to reducing carbon emissions, it does mean higher running costs for those driving heritage vehicles. The takeaway is simple: know what fuel your car can handle, and be prepared for changes at the pump. For some, it will just mean business as usual. For others, it could mean planning a slightly bigger budget for fuel or even making decisions about whether to keep a particular car on the road. Next, let's talk about mobile phone use while driving. This is an area where the rules are getting stricter. Everyone knows that using a phone behind the wheel is dangerous, but from September 2025, the penalties will increase significantly. The fine for using a phone while driving will rise to £1,000, and drivers caught will receive 6 penalty points on their license. The definition of using a phone is also expanding. It won't just apply to making calls or sending texts. Unlocking your screen, changing music, scrolling through apps, or even touching the device while stopped at traffic lights will be considered an offense. The only safe way to use your phone in the car will be through a secure hands-free setup, such as a proper cradle, with your route or playlist set before you begin driving. Enforcement will also be tougher, with artificial intelligence-powered cameras being rolled out across many areas. These cameras can detect when a driver is holding or interacting with a device. You may not even realize you've been spotted until a fine arrives in the post. This change reflects the government's strong stance on distracted driving. A quick glance at a screen might not feel like much, but research shows that even a few seconds of distraction can increase the risk of an accident. With the new penalties, the message is clear: phones should be put away before you set off. If you rely on navigation, make sure it's mounted and programmed before the engine starts. The safest option, and the one that avoids fines, is simple: keep your phone out of reach until you're parked. Now let's move on to one of the biggest technological changes: Intelligent Speed Assistance, often called ISA. From September 2025, all new cars sold in the UK will come equipped with this system. ISA uses GPS data and cameras to monitor road signs and speed limits. If the car detects that you're driving above the limit, it automatically reduces engine power until you slow down. The system can be overridden briefly, But drivers will hear repeated warnings and alerts if they continue to exceed the limit. By default, every time the car is switched on, ISA will also be active. If you want full manual control, you'll need to turn it off yourself at the start of each journey. The aim of ISA is to improve road safety by reducing speeding. It's expected to help lower accident rates, particularly in urban areas where even a small reduction in speed can save lives. However, drivers may find it frustrating. There are concerns about situations where the system could misread a sign, or where temporary speed restrictions aren't updated in GPS data. For example, overtaking on a motorway could feel more difficult if the car suddenly cuts engine power mid-maneuver. This is part of a wider shift towards cars that are more controlled by technology than by human drivers. Some see it as an important step forward, while others view it as a loss of freedom behind the wheel. For now, ISA is only required on new vehicles, but the conversation about whether it could eventually become standard across all cars is already beginning. The fourth big change involves toll roads. From September 2025, more local councils are expected to introduce tolls on certain A roads, bypasses, bridges, and tunnels. What's different is how these tolls will work. Instead of traditional toll booths where drivers stop to pay, automatic number plate recognition cameras will record your vehicle as you pass through. Payment will then need to be made online or via an app within a set time frame, usually 24 to 48 hours. If payment isn't made, fines will be issued automatically. These can start at around £60 and rise quickly if left unpaid. Discounts that some residents used to receive are being reduced or removed in many areas, meaning that even local drivers may need to budget for toll charges on routes they use daily. This new system removes the need for cash and reduces traffic queues at toll points, but it also puts more responsibility on the driver to remember to pay afterwards. Visitors and tourists could easily be caught out, and locals may face higher costs for their everyday journeys. To avoid penalties, it's important to check whether your route includes a toll zone and to make payment promptly. Finally, let's look at clean air zones. These are designed to reduce pollution in urban areas by charging vehicles that don't meet specific emission standards. In London, for example, the daily charge for non-compliant vehicles is £12.50, and other cities are adopting similar fees. From September 2025, these zones will expand further, reaching more suburbs and towns. The emission standards are strict. Typically, petrol cars need to meet Euro 4 standards and diesels must meet Euro 6. Older vehicles that don't comply will face daily charges if they enter a zone. Some reports suggest that even certain Euro 6 diesels could eventually be restricted, making it increasingly difficult for drivers of older cars to avoid fees. This creates challenges, especially for drivers who cannot afford to replace their vehicles with newer models. While the goal is to improve air quality and reduce health risks linked to pollution, the financial impact on households is significant. For some families, it could mean paying daily charges just to get to work or school. As with tolls, enforcement is camera-based, and fines are automatic. If you accidentally drive into a clean air zone without paying, you'll receive a penalty notice. Maps of these zones are updated regularly, so it's essential to check in advance if you're planning a trip into a city. So, let's recap. In September 2025, UK drivers will face 5 major changes. Petrol will shift from E10 to F15, affecting older vehicles. Mobile phone penalties will increase to £1,000 with stricter rules on usage. Intelligent speed assistance will become mandatory in all new cars. Toll roads will expand, using cameras and online payments. Clean air zones will cover more areas, with strict emission standards and daily charges. Together, these changes represent one of the most significant shifts in UK driving rules in recent years. They highlight a move towards cleaner fuel, safer roads, and greater reliance on technology, but they also bring higher costs and responsibilities for drivers. The best way to prepare is to stay informed. Check your car's fuel compatibility, set up a safe hands-free phone system, understand how ISA might work in new vehicles, plan your journeys to avoid unexpected tolls, and make sure you know the clean air rules in your area. At Pensioners Corner, our goal is to keep you updated on the policies and changes that affect everyday life. Driving is something many of us depend on, and while the rules may feel complicated, knowledge is the key to avoiding unnecessary stress or expense. Thank you for watching. If you found this breakdown useful, please consider liking the video, subscribing to Pensioners Corner, and sharing it with friends or family who might need this information. Stay safe on the roads, plan ahead, and remember, being informed today can save you time, money, and hassle tomorrow.